Hey everyone, it's Richard Metal Fan here, bringing you guys a brand new 2025 album review. And as you can see below the title, today we're going to be talking about the new album from the Halo Effect entitled March of the Unheard, which is out now through Nuclear Blast Records. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Halo Effect, they're a melodic death metal band from Sweden, been around since 2019. And I discovered the Halo Effect probably around late 2021, early 2022, and it's basically a lot of people consider it kind of a super group, which has former members of In Flames, as well as Michael Stane from Dark Tranquillity, who is also a former member of In Flames. He sang on the first In Flames album from Lunar Strain. And fun fact, and then Anders Frieden, the current singer of In Flames, sang on the first Dark Tranquillity album, Skydancer, and after that they switched bands, which I thought was kind of funny. But this is March of the Unheard is the band's second album, and this follows up their previous album, their debut album in 2022, Days of the Lost, which I thought that was a fantastic album, a great debut album, one of my most anticipated albums from 2022. But here we are with 3 years later with their second album, March of the Unheard. And does this album live up or exceed what Days of the Lost has? In my honest opinion, I think it definitely does. And I feel like when I first heard the Halo Effect a few years ago, there was a lot of hype with that and a lot of like praise and everything. And they definitely live up to that praise. They really stepped the bar really fucking high. Especially now with March of the Unheard with the second album. But now there's a lot of like expectations, a lot of hype. And they definitely lived up to that. The production on this album is tight. Like, I feel like the Halo Effect really stepped up the production on here. I think they did honestly had with the first album, Days of the Lost. But here we are with March of the Unheard. And then Michael's vocals, I think he has a great mixture. Like, he does that signature vocal style that he's known for with Dark Tranquillity, and as well as his other bands being Grand Cadaver, and of course now with Cemetery Skyline. I feel like Michael's voice really shines. He has that kind of signature voice. Once you hear it, it's like, yep, that's him. And just the usage of his voice, whether it be the harsh vocals and the clean vocals, it really has a great contrast between the two. The guitar work on this album is tight from Jesper Stromblad and Nicholas Engelin. Probably butchered his last name, but both Nicholas and Jesper has both come up with some really great riffs, and just the way that they work together is just perfect. Like the dueling harmonies, and I feel like it's almost like in the way like they kind of talk with each other with their guitar playing. The bass playing on this album is pretty audible. I think Peter Iwers definitely stepped up his drumming on this album, and he definitely knows how to lock in with what the guitars are doing with the melody and what the drums are doing with the rhythm. And drumming wise, Daniel Svensson, in my opinion, is a pretty solid drummer. And definitely sets the whole beat and the tempo with every song. But now I pretty much rambled on for a little over 3 minutes, so let's dive into this album track by track. Now, starting things off is Conspire to Deceive. Now, the song right from the get-go opens up with a melodic guitar that starts off, goes into like a, can't even talk, also goes into a really great riff, and then Michael's gruff vocals and sort of like the tight rhythm section of Peter and Daniel have a great foundation on there. And the structure kind of almost sounds like a little bit of like 80s Iron Maiden a little bit, with the lead breaks and the twin guitar fills, which showcase the band's melodic side. And I think it's a great way to start off this album. Then we go into Detonate, which I believe was the first single from March of the Unheard. Has some really sick riffs. This is a riff-driven song, and it showcases the Halo Effect at their heaviest, and the melody never feel over like used, and adding like the layers of richness to the songs relentless to it. It adds really perfect. Moving on to Our Channel to the Darkness. Now, it starts off with an acoustic intro that sets sort of like a kind of like a chill kind of atmosphere, but then it explodes into a ferocious riff, and then Nicholas and Jesper unleash some really great guitar work, and it pretty much leads the listener in before delivering a sick onslaught of metal into you. And moving on to Cruel Perception. Now, Cruel Perception has a very anthemic vibe to it. I consider it kind of an anthemic masterpiece. Has some really great melodic guitars that has the whole signature sound that the Halo Effect is known for, and it captures that very essence of the Gothenburg kind of death metal sound. And the track delivers a powerful blend of like the melodies and intensity, which pretty much cements perfectly together. Then we move on to What We Become. Now, What We Become sort of like emphasizes sort of the band's melodic sensibilities with the twin guitar harmonies along with some sick drumming from Daniel. Then we get into The Curse of Silence. Now, this is a little interlude intro piece with the great dueling guitar leads followed by the rolling snare. And funny enough, I remember hearing this song live when I first saw the Halo Effect back in 2022 or so. I remember, or 23, I should say, at Prague Power when it was the first time ever seeing them. And of course, I've seen them now 3 times, and I caught both their sets, of course, last year at the 70,000 Tons of Metal Cruise. I think it's a great way to sort of like hype up the next song, which goes into the title track, March of the Unheard. Now, the main melody kind of reminds me a lot of like Jotun from In Flames' Horacle album. And this song is definitely I guess you could tell it like a throwback to old In Flames, and I'm here for it. And there's also a riff that almost sounds something from like Dead Eternity, which is another great In Flames songs as well. Next song on the album is called Forever Astray. Now, this song combines a pounding rhythm with a fiery riff, which has a really great vocals from Michael Stane, and his clean vocals on this song is really great. And this showcases how well of a vocalist that he is. Next up is Beyond Directions. Now, this opens up with a very symphonic kind of like cello and the guitar intro before setting into like the verse and chorus that highlights Michael's clean vocals and then the sick arrangements of like the guitars and everything. A Death That Becomes Us. Now, this is another good song, kind of similar to March of the Unheard. Now, this song has a very good riff in there that kind of reminds me a lot of like In Flames' Liberation, which a nod to the band's history. And the great riff really just works well with the whole structure of the whole song. Next up is The Burning Point. Now, The Burning Point, it delivers like some relentless energy with its galloping groove and has some really sick drumming on this track. And then we close things out with the album with Coda. Now, Coda offers like a breathing room amongst all the chaos that we've heard so far with March of the Unheard. It's serving as sort of like moments of reflection and atmosphere as well. So I think that's a great way to end the album. Now, overall, March of the Unheard by the Halo Effect, great follow-up to Days of the Lost. I would put it up there as so far with 2025. I know we're only a week or so into it, but I'm looking forward to seeing what the releases that we have in store for this year. So if I were to give this album a score, I'm going to give March of the Unheard by the Halo Effect a solid 9 out of 10. So yeah, that's my review of the album, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about it, and I'll see you all in the next video. And as always, keep it metal.